Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got an interesting sort of knife presentation to share with you guys. This isn't a review. This is a very old knife. It's a very old Hinderer knife. This is actually the Hinderer Flashover, and it's from about 2003, 2004, I think. This was, to my understanding, pre-XM18, and it's really cool. It's definitely a part of Hinderer history. If you don't know, I'm a huge Hinderer fan. I'll link Hinderer knives right down below. They're kind of hard to get right now, but this is a rare piece. It's a custom piece by Mr. Rick Hinderer himself, of course. Thank you so much to the gentleman who sent this in for review, and thank you so much to my generous patrons for supporting me right now. You can find the link for Patreon right down below, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. There's some quick measurements here on this guy. This is a smaller knife. I think it's just slightly bigger than the 3-inch XM18. I don't know why I started around that. Maybe about the same, 7¼ inches overall. Blade length is actually coming in at about 3, maybe very, very close to 3¼ and then the cutting edge is exactly 3 inches. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. How about against the actual XM18? So there you go. It seems like this is bigger than the smaller one. It would be nice to have a 3-inch here, but I actually don't own one. Here it is up against the Eclipse. Remember, we're at an angle here, so the Eclipse is appearing way longer than both, but there you go. And then we'll do some more common size comparisons here real quick. How about up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and Rat Model 2? You can see here it is extremely similar to the Rat 2, just a little tiny bit longer. How about up against the Spyderco PM2 and Spyderco Para 3? Closer to the size of the Para 3, absolutely, almost exactly the same, but more cutting edge, definitely. And last but not least, the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue. And its little brother, the Mini Griptilian. So there you go. Kind of right in between these for sure. How about carry profile? Let me get this put away there. Up against the Spyderco Para 3, you can see here, this guy is robust, but not insanely robust, right? About the same thickness as the Spyderco Para 3, length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. You can see here that this isn't really going to be a difficult object to carry. It's shorter than both the Para 3 and PM2 and nowhere near as tall. So that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check on this guy. Guess what? I have links for my tools down in the description. My tools are extremely inexpensive and very recommendable. Gosh, it feels good to say that. I haven't said that for so long. You can find those. There's a My Tools section, and that it also includes my flashlight. So if you guys want to check those out, you can. This is back before Rick Hinderer, decided on what parts he wanted to use to be modular. So we have a simple T8 pivot, and it is free spinning. But remember, this is from a long time ago. This is from 2003, 2004, something in there. And then the other screws are T6, right? So minimal hardware. The problem is getting that pivot out of there because it's free spinning. I did try to adjust it, right? But if you can, then you can take it apart. So yeah, there you go. Easy if you can get that pivot out of there. And then you have some T6 on the filler tab and T6 on the pocket clip. Now, those look to be exactly the same as the filler tabs that are currently available on Rick Hinderer knives now. They look identical, and I believe the pocket clip is also the same other than the hole at the end. I kind of think that hole is cool. I kind of wish that he would do a short run of those just for fun, right? Because he does a whole bunch of different stuff. Anyways, I'm sorry. Let's get moving here. Blade stock thickness on this guy. Calipers are out. They're in a better place today. I was looking further down. Overall, thickness on the... There we go, 125 thousandths. So not too thick. In fact, I believe that is actually thinner than the standard XM18 3.5 inch. Is that right? It really looks like it's about the same thickness as the 3-inch. I said the 3.5 inch. It looks like the same thickness. No, it's thinner. 125,000. That's the thickness of the skinny. Interesting. Okay, there you go. Let's take a look at the inside. Like I said, you can get my flashlights right down in the description there. This is solid titanium, which is, I don't know how many makers back then were doing the milling for, balance and, lightening up the knife. But the balance on this is pretty good, and it really doesn't feel ultra heavy or anything like that. I'm going to guess this is probably about 3.5 ounces. Closer to 3.84 ounces. Okay, not a big deal, right? If you're really into ratios, might bother you. Let me go ahead and say before we get too far that this is an extremely rare knife and goes for anywhere between $1,200 and $1,600 online. I have no idea what they went for originally. It is a handmade custom knife, but it's don't, if you want to hunt one of these down, you got to remember this is from the past. So you're not going to get the same type of quality that you get even with the substantially less expensive and very modern Hinderer XM18 3.5 inch or 3 inch with the new tri-way pivot system. This does not have that. This is running on Teflon washers, as Hinderer knives did. And actually, it wasn't until like 2000, whenever the tri-way pivot system came out, 2017 or 2018 maybe, where everything before then was running on nylon, right? So there you go. Have we covered everything there? Yeah, I think we have. So I gotta say, this size, and it's kind of the same thing that I say about the 3 inches, that I'm not really interested in a 3-inch flipper because the hand positioning would be so cramped. But if I could get my hands on a 3-inch non-flipper, I would consider it. It's just that those are, really, really, really rare. But yeah, on a smaller knife, that makes sense. This fits your hand perfectly, and it's a really good size for EDC. Here's the other crazy thing. I noticed this immediately in the unboxing. So on the XM18 3.5 inch, the Eclipse, on the XM24, which I actually have right here, we probably should have done a size comparison with that, and on the 3 inch. The thumb studs they double as external stops, but because of the design, the overall profile, the positioning of them makes them less than optimal for flipping with your thumb, right? I can do it. I'm used to it now, but is it like in the best place? No, absolutely not. The detent's lightened up on the non-flipper versions of some of these knives, and it's a little bit easier. On the 24, it's almost freaking impossible. Like I don't even mess with it. I just use the flipper tab, right? On this guy, it's positioned closer to the frame and is a different shape. It's not as much of a cone or volcano, right? Looks more like a volcano. It's more of like this sort of flat, and it's not the prettiest thing in the world, right? But oh my gosh, it's way more comfortable. It's way more comfortable to fire like that. So I don't, I probably, the reason that you might not be able to do the reverse flick with this thing is because it's not running. You can get it. Yeah. It's not running on bearings or anything like that. So it's just funny that this older design actually has a better position for the studs, and they still double as the external stops, And some of you might be thinking, why don't they bring that back? Because it's way too close to that. This was one of the stepping stones, one of the stepping stone designs, I have to assume, on the way to what we have now in the XM18, right? So it's just interesting. The pattern on the titanium's not really for me, but it's neat, just kind of wavy. It kind of looks like, I don't know, kind of like water, something like that. Holes down here, again, not really for me. But if you look back, I always say this when I review, I don't want to say obscure Hinderer knives, but just different weird stuff, rare stuff. You can go to the Hinderer Knives website, and there's a past knives gallery, and it's really fun to look through. There's a ton of stuff that like not many people have seen. I'm sure like a lot of people watching this video have probably seen that gallery, but it's really interesting, including like they got weird stuff like they've done a liner lock XM18 3.5 inch with bolsters. It was interesting, right? But if you look back there, you'll see that, Rick Hinderer did a lot of really wild, colorful, and really different, stuff when it came to anodizing and milling and things like that. And I'm no expert on any of this. I'm not like, as much of a Hinderer fan as I am, I don't know the complete history of Rick Hinderer knives, but it is fun to go check out that gallery and just see what he used to do. Ergonomically, this is very, very comfortable. Now, you're going to feel that clip. I would have it flipped over, but you're still going to feel it, right? It's not a perfect situation on the newer ones either, but as far as comfort goes, yeah, it's great. The other thing that's interesting are these little areas right here where you're obviously, I mean, as far as I can assume, meant to place your fingers in sort of a pinch grip right here. Now, there's probably, you know, more to that. There's probably, you know, like a specific, like where they do like the kind of backwards cuts. Maybe that's a better position for your finger. I kind of like that. You know, I find myself often holding a knife like this when I'm cutting open a package or something. Considering Rick Hinderer's background, I doubt that he was like concerned with the perfect ergonomic position for opening Amazon packages, right? But that's what I think. I'm like, oh, nice. It's a nice little place to put my thumb, right? It's nice. I like it. Yeah, I mean, all the way around, this is really, really nice. It's all nicely knocked down. We kind of have this flat sort of, I don't know if we want to call it bead blasted finish or like just a heavy tumbled and then they've kind of smoothed it over, right? It's nice. The blade is absolutely hand ground, belt satin finish. We've got the horizontal lines here. That might be hand rubbed. And then we've got, interesting, a hollow ground blade. And that's the way that a lot of his customs are, I believe, are hollow grinds, right? So it does get really thin down here. Now this one's, I think, obviously seen plenty of use because it's pretty dull, which is, yeah, that's cool that the owner is actually using this, right? I think that's neat. It's obviously held up. I mean, the blade has obvious signs of wear, and so does the pocket clip, right, and the frame. And this thing is still kicking no problem since 2003, 2004. So that's great. You do get plenty of thickness out to the tip despite it being a relatively thin blade stock. And the blade looks really good. That's a nice looking blade. I kind of would like to see something like that on a current production model. There are so many Hinderer blade shapes that have never truly seen the light of day, at least in the production world. So it's always fun to see. So the other day I caught myself on, no, not a knife, the plastic wrapping around a brand new container of mouthwash. That's what got me. Right where I flip my, it's like right off to the side. So when I miss it, it hurts like crazy. But anyways, a couple of somewhat Hinderer-esque, well, I say Hinderer-esque, they are. This is a Hinderer knife, right? Just compared to what we currently have today, the barrel spacers, right? A couple of spacers back here. Then on this side, like I said, we've got the cutout for the filler tab and the pocket clip, which is not a full cutout. You can see there, it just rests, and so the filler tab would also be kind of hanging over, lipped over. Obviously, this knife went through evolutionary. This is one of the evolutionary stages of the XM18, right? Had they done that, and you see how they do this now, is it's a clear, specific spot where it's completely covered on both sides, right? It nests in there perfectly. Same way with this position up here on this knife. It wasn't you know, that's the way that he had it. It works just fine. The lock bar stabilizers say Rick Hinderer on them. Or maybe it says Hinderer knives. I can't really see because it's covering it up. Honestly, I think that would be cool as a Hinderer fan to see that on some lock bar stabilizers. I've seen that on older knives, and I just think that that's neat, but it might just be me being like a diehard Hinderer fan, right? This does not have the steel lock bar insert. You can see there's quite a gap there on the left side, and up here there's quite a bit of distance between here and here, which doesn't look great on newer knives, but obviously he changed that, right? Much more narrow at the top and bottom. However, it absolutely locks up solid. It's still locking up pretty early, 35%, no blade play, up, down, left, or right, nothing, no lock stick or anything, right? This is a bit off center, just a teeny tiny bit. It probably needs to have the pivot adjusted in relationship to the handle screws, which is something I talk about. Look, a knife from 2003, I'm not going to comment on the centering. This guy's seen it, right? He's like, I don't... If this knife could talk, it'd be like, dude, I don't care if my blade is centered. I've been used, right? So yeah, I can't really complain there too much. This is just cool. It's funny that this, you know, how many designs do we see nowadays in 2021 that are the same exact thing as this, right? I mean, it's funny, like looking back, how little frame locks have changed all the way around. Now, Rick Hinderer frame locks have obviously come extremely far. This is still a simple frame lock design, but it is absolutely incredibly polished. That's why I always say if you're going to spend $425 on a knife, you want a U.S. knife, or if you're going to spend money in the $400 territory, look no further than Rick Hinderer knives, because they have been so insanely polished down to just absolute perfection. It is such a joy that everything always fits together so perfectly. And if you buy new parts, right, it's funny how many knives, I mean, this is an impressive knife, right? For 2003, 2004. It's funny how many frame locks we get are basically exactly like this now in 2021, right? It's nuts. This is really cool. Now, should you guys rush out, spend over $1,000 on the Hinderer Flashover? No, don't do that. If you're a hardcore Hinderer collector, right? If you are, and believe me, those guys absolutely. Hello to all my friends over there at the Hinderer Knives users and collectors group on Facebook. There are definitely at least a couple people from over there watching going, yeah, he's talking about me. I know that there's some guys who collect every last little teeny tiny thing that Hinderer has done in the past, So if you're one of those guys, then, all right? I don't even need to tell you, but, to everybody else, the value is not going to be there because it's really just a simple frame lock, right? I mean, that's what it is. But it's really, really cool, and I'm glad that I got a chance to experience, this part of Hinderer history. It's neat. Some elements here actually feel a little bit better. I'm really impressed with the thumb stud. It's in exactly the right spot. Oh, man. Very cool. I don't know that there's really a whole lot more I can say here. Thanks again to the gentleman who let me take a look. This is really, really cool. You guys make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.